Hello, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons between buying real estate and renting real estate. In the beginning, we're going to specifically talk about students and the advantages of buying real estate or renting real estate while you're in school. So I'll start off by saying that I have sold real estate to lots of college kids, and their parents generally are the money behind it. And they do this for a few reasons. The first reason is to save money on rent and hopefully gain a profit after the child graduates college. And that's generally the case in this market right now. So, if you live in a town like DeLand, you can expect to pay around $200,000 for an average house with about 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Now, what these students usually do is they will rent out the other 2 bedrooms, and collectively, it generally pays most of the mortgage. So the kids, in turn, also are not spending money on rent or a mortgage, and they're increasing their net worth in the long run, or their parents are, or however they decide to do it, which usually the parents will split with the child after they graduate as a gift, what I have seen typically. So the advantages of that, again, are make equity in your house. You are in control. You don't have to listen to a landlord. Your rent is not going to go up, and you get a return on your investment in the end if you made a smart purchase. So the downside to this is that you have to have money generally in order to buy a house, and that's not always the case. A lot of kids are paying for school on their own, so they have to rent a house or an apartment with several roommates. But this is also okay too, because if something breaks or goes wrong, they have no liability and they can just rely on their tenant, on their landlord to solve the problem, and they aren't out any more specific money besides their rent. So if there's somebody that doesn't have any type of overhead, if something went wrong, if a tree fell on your roof, this is not the kind of situation that a student would want to get in if they didn't have any sort of emergency type of funds. So that is the advantage to renting for a student, is the no strings attached situation, and then they can pick up and leave. They don't have to worry about if their house doesn't sell when they graduate, and if they're tied to the area, if they get a job when they graduate. So it can be a win-win. So then we'll talk more about the advantages of buying real estate as you're older and looking to settle down versus renting. So you have 2 types of people. There's people that want to grow roots where they are, and usually you do that by purchasing a home. It kind of grounds you. It gives you a real sense of that you belong in the community. And then there's people that they're not really sure where they want to go. They just want to pass through. And renting is a really great way, especially these days with all the millennials coming out. They're deciding they don't want to buy houses maybe as much because they don't want to have the burden and the financial responsibility of having a house, and they like it to travel. This is a traveling generation, and there's a lot of upkeep when it comes to a house. So it might not be the best idea for somebody that has wanderlust or doesn't really want to deal with maintenance. This is where buying a condo can come in. You don't have very much overhead in ways of your outside construction. Your roof is generally taken care of, yard maintenance. The downside to a condo is that you will have an HOA, and it's generally between $200 upwards of $500 a month. And that is a huge added expense. If you look at a condo that's, say, a good price at $125,000, your mortgage would generally be low, but then you add that homeowners on top of it, and it increases it by more than you really realize in the end. But it may also include things like HM or a pool or even watering cable sometimes, and that can really add up, and that can be a nice little bundle all packaged in together. The other problem is if you get behind on your homeowners, they can put a lien against your house, which homeowners can add up very quickly, and if you get into any trouble, it can really harm you in your sense of control over your assets. So you might need to sell your home earlier than you wanted to get out from under that. Not only condos have HOAs, lots of communities have them as well, and they pay for sidewalks and streets, and they make sure everybody's house is looking nice, and a lot of people don't like that anyway, so they don't want to live in an HOA type of community. So then we'll get back to renting, where we talked about that HOA. That's usually included in your rent, and you kind of have the best of both worlds because you have access to all these amenities, but you're still paying a lower wrapped up price at about $1,300 to $1,500 a month, and you can come and go, usually in a year lease out of that if you would like, and you don't really have that much commitment. If you decide to take a job in Texas, you can usually even just cancel your lease or have somebody sublet it. And that's also a really nice added bonus, where if you're trying to sell a home to buy another one, timing has to be almost perfect. And that's really rare to have happen, especially in the market right now, where sometimes there's immediately 7 offers on a home as soon as it goes listed, and it can be very competitive out there. And if you're trying to buy something, or if your house goes under contract, you could be stuck in a situation where you do have to rent for a while until you can find something that you would like to buy that is able to close in a steady manner of time. So there's quite a few options to look at, and really it's best to just decide if you are wanting to put down roots or if you want to travel. And if you have the type of cushion, if something goes wrong with your house, then you will be able to financially succeed from it and not be burdened by it, where you might have to sell your home because it's your only option. So these are some things to think about if you're deciding to buy or rent, and I hope I could help you out today. Thank you.